Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So, dear viewers, today we are going to start a new topic, that is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded Muslims not to enter a plague infested area and to remain in the infected area. So, why is that so? So, inshallah, we'll discuss in this topic. So, once there was a there was an outbreak of the plague where one happened to be. This is the best type of prevention for when one enters a plague infested area. He exposes himself to the risk of infection and harm. So, exposing oneself to such danger defies religion and a sound mind. Staying away from plague infested areas is a type of prevention that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has directed and guided to the people to. In this case, one observes a form of diet or a prophylactic by avoiding contaminated areas and air. As for the Prophet ﷺ prohibiting the Muslims from escaping from the epidemic infested area, it has two possible meanings. Number one, encouraging the heart to depend and rely on Allah while observing patience and being content with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decided. Number two, the best medical authorities say in order to avoid becoming sick during an epidemic requires helping the body to get rid of harmful fluids and moisture, observing a diet and preventing the body's dryness in general. They warm against sports activities and taking baths. The human body usually contains harmful substances that are idle and which sometimes become activated by sports and taking a bath. So they would be then mixed with the beneficial substances in the body and cause several ailments. Therefore, when the plague strikes a land, the best thing one can do is to remain idle in that particular land, so that the harmful substances in his body are not aroused and irritated. Leaving the plague infested area requires motion and physical effort, both of which are very harmful in this case. These are the statements of the best medical authorities of old and present, helping to shed light on the correctness of the Prophet ﷺ's commands that assure the well-being of the heart and body both. When someone asked when the Prophet ﷺ said, when maybe some Sahabi he asked when the Prophet ﷺ said, "Do not abandon it and take flight," so refutes the meaning that has been stated. Leaving the infested land for another purpose than escaping, such as traveling, is exempt from the prohibition. Now we'll discuss something more about answering this question by stating that no person, whether a doctor or otherwise, said that all types of motion is prohibited. When the plague strikes a land, for the people cannot act as if they were fixed objects, rather engaging in excessive physical movements and activities that are not necessary is discouraged during the outbreak of an epidemic. So there is no reason behind abandoning the plague infested land other than the escaping from the plague, whereas being idle and calm are better for the people's hearts and bodies in these situations. Also, staying inactive satisfies the required dependence and reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and submitting to him to his decisions. As for those who need to move about, such as hired hands, manufacturers and travelers, they are not required to remain completely inactive, but to refrain from any unnecessary movement such as traveling to escape the plague. So there is a great wisdom behind commanding the people to remain in the plague infested areas. Uh, Number one is avoiding harm and the paths that might lead to harm. Number two, preserving one's health, which is vehicle that people rely on to acquire life's necessities and to fulfill the requirements of the hereafter. So that's important. Number three is so that the people do not fall sick upon breathing polluted and contaminated air. Number four point is avoiding close association with those afflicted with the plague so as not to catch the plague themselves. Number fifth point, 5 point is preserving the body and soul from contamination and superstition, which only harms those who believe in it. So in short, prohibiting entering plague infested area is a preventive measure and type of diet also that leads away from the paths of harm, prohibiting leaving the area where the plague has struck entails submitting to Allah's wills and decisions. The first order teaches and trains, while the second order entails submission and referring all matters to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will. So inshallah we'll discuss some of the points of the topic in next video, otherwise the video would be long. Till then, jazakallah khair. Thank you very much.